Okay, we are back in open committee of the whole, and we are on 6.1 CAO verbal update.
Nothing, Chair.
Nothing to report. And the chair's verbal update, nothing to report today. Karen, did you have your hand up? Nope, sorry. Any late business for committee of the whole? Seeing none. Could I have someone move the adjournment of the committee of the whole? Moved by Director Bridge-Jones, seconded by Director Rainbow. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Now, we will reopen the public meeting. I need a motion for that?
No.
We'll just move along. So where would you like to resume? Because we had deferred some things. Do you want to put those to the end of the agenda for simplicity's sake and carry on to 8.4?
Well, it's up to you and it's up to the board, but 8.3, we could just start at 8.3 where we left off.
Okay, is Claire available to come back in, or shall we?
She's not here.
She's not.
No, both Claire and Kim are out today. Kim can be reached by phone if you need,
Okay.
if there's specific questions, but Kristen has shared the draft resolution that we were asked to bring back.
Oh, okay. Where was that shared?
Just shared by email. Did you choose us? So yeah, it should be in the director's email.
Okay, perfect, thank you. Okay, so let's carry on with 8.3, although there was something we had also deferred.
It was LLE.
Oh, sorry. I'm just looking at my check marks. I didn't,
Oh, sorry.
I didn't check off 8.1, but we did that one. Okay, so we'll go back to 8.3 on the open agenda, which is the Prairie Creek Neighborhood OCP and zoning amendment bylaw for second reading and public hearing. And I think all of the questions have been asked. We have a motion here. Sorry, I'm just trying to get caught up. Shall I read this motion? That's best, right? Okay. It was moved and seconded that bylaw 1726-2021, cited as SLRD Electoral Area D OCP bylaw number 1135-2013, amendment bylaw number 1726-2021 be given second reading, that the bylaw 1727-2021, cited as SLRD Electoral Area D zoning bylaw number 1350-2016, amendment bylaw number 1727-2021 be given second reading, and that the board directs staff to schedule and advertise a public hearing to be held in person and delegate the holding of the public hearing to Electoral Area D Director Tony Rainbow, with Director Jen Ford as alternate delegate pursuant to Section 469 of the Local Government Act for the consideration of the bylaws previously cited. And then the amendment, so this is the suggested amendment that we wanted to approve. Is that right?
Correct. So what you just read was what was moved and seconded yesterday.
Okay.
Would you like me to read the amendment?
Okay.
Okay. Would the main motion be amended as follows: to add the following as the first resolution, that in Squamish-Lillooet Regional District Electoral Area D zoning bylaw number 1350-2016, amendment bylaw number 1727-2021, section 16.3.14.2 bracket regarding large house sizes bracket be removed from the CD3 zone, and that the community center be increased to a minimum of 475 meters squared. That is an additional 103 meters squared. Continue.
I think so.
To
We
add,
want to move them all
okay.
together, I believe.
Next bullet, to add the words as amended after that bylaw 1727-2021, cited as Squamish-Lillooet Regional District Electoral Area D zoning bylaw number 1350-2016, amendment bylaw number 1727-2021 be given second reading, comma, such that the main motion as amended reads as follows. That in Squamish-Lillooet region.
Sorry, I'm just getting it now.
You don't have like that, that's just to show you what it will look
Okay,
like.
Yeah.
okay.
So you might
so
not want to read all that.
We've heard them both and we've heard the motion and the amendment then. Okay. Okay,
So-
move that.
They are moved and seconded. Is the amendment moved? Not yet. Can I have someone move the amended motion? Moved by Director Damaris, seconded by Director Rainbow. Comments to the amendment? I am seeing no comments, so I will call the question on the amendment. Oh, Director Elliott?
Jenna has her hand up.
Oh, I can't see that, Jenna.
You
Okay,
see the thing?
you need to make it yellow because it's just too blended in. Go ahead, Jenna. Director Stoner, please.
Thank you. Through the chair, I will be supporting the amendment. I think this addresses the two key issues that I raised yesterday with regards to density for this going forward to second reading and public hearing. Following my comments from yesterday, I do think that there are a lot of things that are have come a long way in this new proposal and the revision of this proposal, but there are still elements to me that would not be supportable at third reading that I want to make clear for staff for consideration and for the proponent. I would like to see a further review of the affordable housing agreement for consideration of what happens to the affordable housing units if and when we have a regional housing strategy. I think that that is important for consideration. As well as further details and outlining what the active transportation network is going to look like on the paths that we have oversight over as the regional district. So those two elements to me, I don't think need to be included in this motion for it to go to second reading, but I just want to be abundantly clear that they are two components that I think are still really critical for me to have further insight on from the proponent and from staff for me to think that this would be supportable at third reading. So I will support the amendment as it has been laid out. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Stoner. Mike, Director Richmond, can you confirm that you're here?
I'm here.
Okay, with that, Director Elliott?
Thank you. Thank you to staff for supporting what was a bit of a gong show conversation yesterday. I don't think that reflected well on the board or our procedural process at all. So fortunate that we had the ability to recess that meeting so that we could come back with a clear picture of a way to proceed. You know, we're not organizing a birthday party here. We're organizing a community of the future. And to me, the right thing to do yesterday was refer this back to staff, given some of the outstanding questions, so that we weren't trying to create motions on the fly. I don't think that serves good process, transparency, the ability to make sure that the community is informed and really puts our staff on the spot. So I will support second reading. I still have major concerns about active transportation. Some of my questions yesterday are about trying to understand how we avoid the mistakes that people in municipalities are dealing with now because of bad planning. And while that may have been an affront to some of my colleagues, we are just trying to contribute our knowledge and experience to the process. I think Director Stoner's piece around the affordable units and their pathway to how they might fit into an authority in the future, I think is an important consideration. And there's no answer to that. There's no answer to how we see active transportation for people in this community when it's built out. We're relying on MOTI to make decisions for us, but we haven't really thought about how we should control that and make that happen within the pathway infrastructure. I said this yesterday, I think there has to be a path that's understood by the board for a service establishment for Howe Sound East to contribute to Squamish. And despite some of my colleagues' comments, people are using our facilities and we don't charge them more. We don't make a distinction. We just welcome them, whether it's the library or the rec center. And we do need to expand those facilities, and we would still welcome folks from Area D to use them because they're not being built in their communities. And so without that path to how we mitigate the regional impacts of these two very large developments on the region, so taking that regional lens, I think we're doing a disservice. We're all responsible at this table for making regional decisions. So I'm not just advocating for my community, I'm advocating for the folks that live and will live in Area D as well. They deserve to have access to facilities that are right-sized and able to welcome them. So I'll leave my comments there, but I think those are important things to consider. And I look forward to hearing what the public has to say at public hearing.
Thank you, Director Elliott. Director Crompton, go ahead.
I'll also be supporting second reading. These are we are serving the constituents of this board. They're not the constituents of any single person. And I think that's really important as we consider these matters. I think someone who lives in Area B and is the Area B director should be thinking just as thoughtfully on these issues as they do on those that are in their electoral area. And I have that responsibility as well. And so it's a big deal that we get this right. And I'm grateful that we took the time to get a resolution that I feel I can support today.
Sure. I will make the comment that I think staff have worked incredibly hard with this project for many years now and have put a tremendous amount of work into understanding this development. And I'm grateful to everybody who has really brought out the best of the potential in this site. And I look forward to seeing what happens at the public hearing. And did you have any comments, or I'll call the question?
I guess I'm sorry for my contributions to the Gong Show yesterday. I don't say that lightly. I did hear what Director Elliott said. And the whole question of municipalities providing facilities that are used by people outside of, yeah, needs to be looked at with a regional kind of lens. But as I mentioned yesterday, it flows the other way as well. And we need to be cognizant of that. You know, the District of Squamish has a policy that they don't spend tax money outside of the district boundaries. You know, I understand that. You know? We have spent tax money within the district boundaries. So we need to look at it not in isolation, but just as a general thing. But generally speaking, I don't disagree with it. And I certainly will be supporting this.
Great, thank you. So with that, I see no other hands. I will call the question. Oh, Director Demare.
Thank you, Chair Ford. Yes, I will be voting for this, and it was really good to go through this whole process. And the staff definitely have put in hundreds and hundreds of hours on this file, and they've done a pretty good job. And I think we came up with a very good resolution to get it to second reading and get it to the public. The public needs to make their comments now. We've done a really good job, and I thank the municipal people for their input. It definitely raised some good questions, and hopefully we'll at third reading we'll get something that hopefully we can move forward with. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll call the question. Is there anyone opposed? Motion carries. Now, we also have this other set of 3, but they have already been moved. No,
So
okay. So now we're on
Next set of 3.
So
the next set of 3. I'll read them for the sake of the record.
Okay.
That Fine Piece Furry Creek Development Limited retains consultants to prepare 1 in 10 that, go ahead.
sorry, Chair, if you refer to my email.
I am looking at that. To the 3rd reading rather than the adoption.
And I can keep going farther down in the email.
I'm here.
Be required to prepare. Sorry, you
Didn't I
just
say
said,
that?
you said, this wording's been changed a little bit.
Oh,
So,
okay.
so, yeah.
Okay, that Fine Piece and Furry Creek, or Fine Piece Furry Creek Development Limited be required to prepare a 1 in 10,000 geotechnical hazard study to be completed following 3rd reading. Following 3rd reading
Yeah.
or prior to 3rd reading?
Following.
Okay, as part of the MODI referral for approval process, that Fine Piece Furry Creek Development Limited be required to prepare a source water protection plan to be completed following 3rd reading as per Vancouver Coastal Health requirements. That the development lands section 219 covenant and housing agreement bylaw be provided in registrable form prior to bylaw adoption. So those 3 have not been moved or seconded, correct?
I'll move them.
Are there questions, Director Elliott and Director Stoner?
I'd
Director
like to
Elliott?
amend the one for Moti to say that the geotechnical hazard study be completed prior to 3rd reading.
Okay, so motion to amend the motion to say prior rather than following. Do I have a seconder?
So,
Just-
sorry, that it hasn't been, like, these are brand new.
Yes.
These haven't been, so nothing needs to be amended.
Okay,
So I'd like to move it with that amendment then.
we'll move it as prior to rather than following. Question of clarity?
Why? It's important that be done. It's a huge task. It needs to be done before adoption. I'd like to understand why it needs to be prior to 3rd reading.
Okay, I'll let the mover speak to that. Director Elliott, go ahead.
I made this amendment because I asked staff yesterday clearly whether this work was underway. It is, and our staff member did not feel it was an encumbrance on the proponent to finish this in time for 3rd reading. And I feel like it's a risk mitigation strategy for the board to make sure we are fully aware of anything that might change our mind on this development before we give it adoption. So it gives us one more chance to just review that material while we still have a vote that is meaningful.
And that was the conversation we had yesterday, was that it be done before, and Claire said that it was possible to be done before 3rd reading. So this doesn't change the timeline or hold anything up. Director Stoner, did you have something? No, it was the same thing. Okay, any other comments? Seeing none, I will call the question. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And then we have the next, I'll move this singly, that the corporate officer and or board chair be authorized to sign any documentation as may be required to effect registration of the land development agreement and housing agreement via section 219 covenant at the land title office. I have someone move that, moved by Director Rainbow, seconded by Director Birch Jones. Any comments? Is there anyone opposed? Motion carries. And finally, that cash funds in the amount of $400,500, dollar amount expressed in 2021 dollars to be adjusted at the time of payment for any increase in the consumer price index maintained by Stats Canada as per the SLRD community amenity contributions, policy number 2-2018, and to support the required expansion of the Howe Sound East Fire Protection Service be submitted to the SLRD prior to adoption of the bylaw. Someone move that? Moved by Director Rainbow, seconded by Director Birch Jones. Any discussion? Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Everyone good? All right, that was great. More to come. All right, we are now moving along to 8.4. And this is a request for decision regarding the Birkenhead Estate zoning amendment bylaw 1743-2022 for adoption. Could I have someone move adoption? Moved by Director Crompton, seconded by Director Rich Jones. Any discussion? Is there anyone opposed? Motion carries. This is a request for decision regarding a permissive tax exemption bylaw 1778-2022. And this is regarding the Britannia Beach Heritage Buildings tax exemption bylaw being introduced and read a first, second, and third time. Do we have
Ms.
LaFrance?
Ms. LaFrance is just joined.
Okay, great.
Sure.
Good morning, Director LaFrance. Thank you for being here. We're on 8.5. We're talking about the Britannia Beach Heritage Buildings tax exemption bylaw. Did you want to introduce it?
Yes, hello everybody. It's Suzanne LaFrance, the Director of Finance, and this bylaw before you is in regards to the heritage agreement that was completed for the Britannia Beach development. And basically this was to be completed last year as per the board request, but due to the timing of the agreement not being adopted until December, it was too late to provide that tax exemption last year. So with that heritage agreement, I believe there was about 10 years of property tax exemptions that we were looking at. And these buildings right now are on the one lot. So it's very easy to do this tax exemption bylaw. But once these buildings move to separate areas, it'll be a little bit more complex and it'll be a little different. But this bylaw is just for the year 2023. And in that report, it gives you just a basic amount of what taxation will be impacted with this exemption. And I believe it was about $1,800. I look at that report. And if there's any questions, I'll take them now.
Okay, does anybody have any questions? I don't see any questions.
Good idea.
So I will ask that someone move first, second, and third reading. Moved by Director Rainbow, seconded by Director Rich Jones. Comments? Is there anyone opposed? Motion carries. And I'll ask that someone move adoption, please. Moved by Director Rainbow, seconded by Director Rich Jones. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Great. Thank you, Director LaFrance, for being here.
I think the intention
I'm
is
sure
to
she's doing
keep that as one lot as well. I don't think they're going to subdivide that into separate lots. So I think
Okay, we're moving along to 8.6, and this is regarding the 2022 MFA fall borrowing security issuing bylaws, 1773-2022 and number 1774-2022. Director LaFrance, did you want to introduce this?
Yes, so these are just the budgeted borrowings for this year, and they're for the permanent transfer station and the House Out East fire truck. And I'll just take any questions on these security issuing bylaws.
Thank you. Are there any questions from anybody?
yeah, just wondered,
Go ahead.
Suzanne, I wonder, there's been a long time between when we put the bid out for that fire truck and when we're actually getting it. Is there an increase that we have to worry about, or is that taken care of?
Well, the borrowing will not be increased. That was based on the loan authorization bylaws. So we'd have to go through another loan authorization bylaw if we wanted to have additional borrowing. I believe there's a request for proposals right now for the fire truck, and I don't know the status of that and what the costs will be. But we'll have to review that if the costs are over and above what the budget can handle.
Okay, thank you. I think there's no
Especially with fire trucks and ambulances.
Okay, so did you want the first, second, and thirds for each of those and then the adoptions as each of those, or did you want them 4 separate motions?
It can be two too.
Okay, so for bylaws 1773 and 1774 to be read a first, second, and third time, can I have Director Birch Jones and seconded by Director Rainbow? Any further comments? Anyone opposed? Motion carries. And then that bylaws 1773 and 1774 be adopted. Moved by Director Rainbow, seconded by Director Birch Jones. Is there anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And then 8.7, 2022 MFA file borrowing security issuing bylaw 1777-2022. And this is regarding the District of Squamish on their behalf. Yeah, we have to be the signatories for any of our municipalities.
Is there any risk to that?
No. I shouldn't say that. Director LaFrance, do you want to answer Director Rainbow's question?
There is a risk because basically this agreement is for the Squamish-Lillooet Regional District and not the District of Squamish. So if there was an issue with the bylaw, say District of Squamish goes, they can't afford to pay for these payments, which the chances are very slim. They would revert to this for us to pay these payments.
I'm willing to take that risk.
Okay. Thank you.
Just
Director
interesting
LaFrance.
to know though that we have the risk.
Yeah, that's
It's an interesting setup with the regional districts being the flow through, and all of the payments come out of our bank account as well for the principal and interest. So,
which is why we're appointed to the MFA board and not municipalities.
So, yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
so do we charge for that service?
No, I don't think so. Do we charge for that service, Director LaFrance?
no.
Okay.
Well, general government, in essence, they
Yeah.
pay for the taxes for general government. So yes.
All right, so we have the motion to first, second, and third reading moved by Director Birch Jones, seconded by Director Rainbow. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. And then the same bylaw 1777-2022 be moved for adoption by Director Birch Jones, seconded by Director Crompton. Is there anyone opposed? Motion carries. Super. Thank you, Director LaFrance, for being here. You're welcome to stay because I'm sure you're up at 9.2. But we'll go to 9.1, the CAO verbal update.
Nothing today, Chair.
Nothing for today. 9.2, the 2021 statements of financial information. Director LaFrance.
Yes, so before you are the SLRD's 2021 statements of financial information. This is a requirement of the Financial Information Act of BC, and it's all very scheduled as to what they require to be publicly presented. There's guidelines made available from the province to ensure that they're standard across all municipalities and regional districts. And I'll just take any questions on these.
Thank you. Any questions for the Director of Finance regarding these statements? Director Birch Jones, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Franz. This is a really helpful snapshot to look at for me. I found it really interesting. What is Corix? It's on page 9 of your report. Corix Utilities, I was just curious.
So in 2021, they were the contractors for the Britannia Beach wastewater and water treatment plants, and also the Furry Creek and potentially Pinecrest as well. And then that switched to a new contractor during 2021.
Thank you.
Okay. I don't see any other questions. So could I have someone move that we approve these for release in accordance with the Financial Information Act, and that the board chair and treasurer be authorized to sign these for approval? Moved by Director Crompton, seconded by Director Birch Jones. Is there anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, 9.3, the electoral area C zoning bylaw amendments for Wedgwood's non-market affordable housing and market housing amendment proposal.
Ms. McKay's just joined.
Great. Good morning, Ms. McKay.
Good morning.
Thank you for being here today. We're on 9.3 and we are ready to hear your presentation about Wedgwood's non-market and market housing amendment proposal.
Okay, excellent. Thanks, Chair Ford. So this application was last before the board in February of this year. And at that point in time, the board granted staff permission to begin preparing bylaws based on the application as it stood at that point in time. However, shortly after that meeting, we were advised by the applicant or the proponent that they needed to make some amendments to the non-market and affordable component of their application in order to ensure that basically that complies with the Strata Property Act. So in cases where there's an existing phased strata plan in place, it is imperative that the rights and obligations of both current and any future strata owners are consistent. So basically what that means is consistency with unit entitlement, financial equality, consistency with lot entitlement, and then also typically consistency in terms of housing form. So as it stood previously, there were 10 affordable housing lots proposed or non-market lots proposed to be subdivided from Strata Lot 12 toward the bottom of the subdivision. But those lots were very small in size, and so they were going to be different from the existing CD1 zoning for Wedgwood's estates, both the size of the lots themselves and then the housing forms that could be accommodated on those smaller lots. So what the applicant proponent has come back with is a proposal to amend that to do 6 affordable lots out of Strata Lot 12, and that means that the lot sizes will be over 0.2 hectares, so they'll meet the existing minimum lot size under the current CD1 zoning. One thing I want to note that's different as well is that by going to these slightly larger lots, purchasers of the lots will be able to build to meet the existing bylaw. And they will also be required to have in each of the homes have a covenanted long-term rental suite. So in fact, while there was a proposed reduction in the number of single family homes, there's actually 2 additional potential affordable non-market housing units being proposed, because there would be 6 homes and 6 suites for a total of 12. The other thing I want to mention quickly is that the other components, the market lot piece has not changed at all, and the park donation on the western side of the highway hasn't changed. But the previous monetary contribution was going to be tied to the sales price of those affordable lots, those non-market lots. And what the applicant or proponent has come back with is, instead of doing it that way, going with a fixed monetary contribution of $1.2 million. So it wouldn't be tied to those lot prices. So I think that's all that basically summarizes the details of what has changed since it was last seen by the board. And what staff are looking for is basically permission to proceed with preparing bylaws based on the amended application. So I'll leave it there and happy to take questions.
Great, thank you very much. Questions? Director Stoner, go ahead.
Thank you. Through the chair, thanks for the report today. I'm curious about the final sale price of the non-market lot. So because they are bigger, my guess is that we're actually increasing probably the cost, or are they being sold for the same price as previously identified?
So thank you, Director Stoner. Through the chair, I apologize, I missed mentioning that in my presentation. So they're still proposing keeping that at what's anticipated to be $225,000 per lot. So no increase in the sales price is proposed.
Okay, any other questions? Director Crompton, go ahead.
Was there any consideration of getting a couple non-market lots in the other parcel, or does that create strata problems?
So thank you through the chair. At this point in time, no, the market portion in the upper reaches of the subdivision, so Strata Lot 108 subdivision, is the same as it was presented in February. So there hasn't been any consideration of that to date, no discussions to that effect.
And do you know if from a strata point of view, it would matter if they, instead of removing for non-market, they removed to market and had some of the non-market in the market piece of land, like a mix of market and non-market?
Sorry, thank you through the chair. So with respect to the Strata Property Act, no. So long as the lot sizes meet the existing CD1 zoning requirements and the housing form would meet the existing zoning, then there would be no concerns from the kind of legal Strata Property Act requirement side.
Okay, any other questions?
I'll save it for comments.
Okay. Question? No? Okay. I just want to,
Sorry, I do.
go ahead. That's okay.
So if they reduce the size of the market lots, I imagine there would be room for a couple non-market lots, though you haven't investigated it yet.
Thank you through the chair. No, I'm not. I'd have to go back and look at exactly the proposed sizes of those lots and whether that could be accommodated, but it's certainly something we could explore with a proponent if that was at the direction of the board.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so what we have in front of us is to provide direction, whether they continue to do the detailed review of this amended application and preparation of the bylaws. Would anyone like to move that? Moved by Director Birch Jones, seconded by Director Rainbow. I'll open it for discussion. Are there any comments? Director Crompton?
Yeah, I'd ask that they try and follow through on the 10 non-market lots that they'd originally planned, and they can take it out of the size of the market lots. I don't have an appetite for reducing the number of non-market lots at this point. In fact, I'd like to see more, but I think we came down with 10 previously, and so I'd like to see them find a way to deliver 10.
Thank you. Director Stoner, go ahead.
Thank you through the chair. I'll just add my voice to my colleagues' comments that I too would like to see staff I'm fine with staff pursuing this work and moving it forward. I would like to see a conversation happen where we can actually secure those 10 lots as affordable, as was previously directed by the board. I do appreciate that with the increased size of the 6 affordable lots, that there does double up on the forms, but I also don't think that can, and maybe this is getting into question territory, but I don't think that guarantees that there'll necessarily be a lock-off suite or a carriage suite in each of those homes. You're saying it will. I can see your response. Okay. But still, I think that the additional lots should be pursued by staff in this negotiation. So that would be my direction. Thank you.
Thank you. And Director Richmond, go ahead.
I won't repeat all that. I support the last 2 sets of comments.
Thank you. Director Crompton, do you have another?
I'd just be enthusiastic about the that note that we've gone from maybe from 10 to 12, and it'd be great to go from 10 to 20. If all 10 of the non-market lots had covenanted suites, I think that would be a real win for our region. Thanks.
Thank you. And other comments? Being none, I will join my colleagues in saying that we're headed down the right path. We have great staff working on this that will continue to get the best deal of non-market housing in this area to support a community that is growing, and we want to see the best deal for the region. So thank you.
Director Richmond?
No, it stayed up.
Okay.
Mike, did you have another comment? I'll just double check before. Nope, he took his hand down. Thank you. I'm calling the question. Is there anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. And thank you, Ms. McKay, for being here.
Thank you.
Carrying on, 9.4, an information report regarding the District of Squamish OCP Plan Bylaw Amendment Bylaw 2895. And this is a referral. Do we have someone speaking to it?
No, this is just for information, and if there are questions beyond the fact that it aligns with the regional growth strategy, then we have to defer.
Okay. Are there any questions from anyone on the board?
Good report, motion to receive.
Okay, motion to receive, Director Birch Jones, seconded by Director Stoner. Any comments? Is there anyone opposed? Motion carries. I just want to do a roll call, Kristen, that we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We've lost Mayor Elliott. We still have Mike and Jenna and Sal, so we're good still. Okay.
I'm so good, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, another information report regarding the Braylorn wastewater permit amendment and pilot project update. Great report. Any questions? Seeing none, could I have someone move? Go ahead, Director Demare.
Yeah, I've got a comment and then a question.
Okay.
There was a letter to the editor in the Lillooet newspaper regarding the Braylorn wastewater project, and this is a short quote from it. Most of our waste continues to go into the Cadwalder Creek, end of quote. And this was kind of disturbing to me because there's only 14 properties out of the 92 properties that do not go through the treatment plant. And this is what this information is about. And there was a number of public meetings where this was communicated to the community, but one individual still feels that most of the water or the wastewater is going to the Cadwalder Creek, which is incorrect. But I do have one question, and that's regarding the daily discharge. It was the original discharge for all of the Braylorn sewer prior to the treatment plant going in?
Through the chair. So with the existing permit with the Ministry of Environment, we do have 2 separate permits right now. So we do have an existing permit for the new system that was commissioned in 2021 for the community, and we have the amended permit where we're able to continue to use the 1 septic tank for these 14 individuals until they're tied into the new system. So the Ministry of Environment has approved these 2 systems based on municipal wastewater regulations, and they the wastewater discharge to surface water is regulated by the MOE through all of these permits, of which the SLRD is compliant with.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. With that, I will ask for a motion to receive the information, moved by Director Birch Jones, seconded by Director Demare. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Director Belsham. We're now on 10.1. Board roundtable. I'm going to start with the screen. And I'm going to ask that everyone limit their comments to no more than 2 minutes. Just to keep us on track for time, I'll go to Director Stoner, speak to Squamish.
Thank you. Through the chair, I'll pick my top item then, which is that at our past committee of the whole and coming for readings in July is our updated code of conduct bylaw that we are putting in place for the District of Squamish. We think that this will put us in a position of being leaders in the province. So the province has put in new legislation that'll come in force in the fall that will require boards and councils to consider a code of conduct. We have taken that further and we are putting in place a bylaw that actually ties our code of conduct to our remuneration policy. So if you breach the code of conduct, there are financial implications for our council members going forward, as well as a new oath of office that will reflect that. So we're quite proud of that work, and we're excited to see it come forward in July, and happy to share any of it with the SLRB board if that is of interest. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Director Demare, go ahead with your board update.
Yep. The weekend of July 23rd, we're going to have a weekend of Statlium cultural sharing. And we're going to have Laura Grizzlypaw, who is a storyteller and a dancer. And we're going to have 3 events throughout that weekend. So it's going to be, and we're also going to have Statlium artists come and bring some of their artisan works, and it's going to be a great weekend. I also want to thank CEO Craig Dalton and Vivian Birch-Jones on the tour that we did a couple of weeks ago. We started in Lillooet and went on Road 40 up and over Mission Mountain in the Seton Portage, came back down into the Bridge River Valley and went to toured Goldbridge and toured Braylorn also. The tour was specifically regarding the roads and some of the issues that we've got with the roads. I mean, the roads were in fairly good condition, but definitely saw the terrain that those 2 roads go through. And I think that's enough. Thanks.
Thank you very much. And Director Richmond?
Highlights, lowlights, watching the water right now. There's lots of groundwater in the area. Watching the river every day. Groundwater is creeping up. We've got a very downsized sort of Canada Day celebrations on tap for tomorrow. It's more of just a gathering of the community. And had a great weekend last weekend celebrating the grads at the Pemberton Secondary School. And I'll just leave it at that.
Great. Thank you very much. I'll now go to the room. Director Crompton.
Lots of public engagement around the 2030 Olympic bid, which has been interesting to hear people's input and thoughts. It's nice to have them here today, I thought. We had the Hike for Health that was raising funds for the Hospital Foundation last Sunday, which was wonderful to have our community out and then to walk up the Ascent Trail in Blackcomb. Lots of interest, and they raised lots of money for the hospital district, which is wonderful. We have now sold through the 100 new units of employee housing in Cheakamus Crossing, which is very exciting to see people both moving into their new homes, but then also purchasing their new homes. And that's been a lot of work, and it's been really important and exciting work. We have, I think actually that, I mean, I'll finish by just saying how fun it is to be a part of kids graduating in a community and to see them talk about where they want to go in their lives and to celebrate each other and to be a part of that process is a real privilege. Mike didn't say that his son was one of the grads, and my daughter was one of the grads. And so to be able to stand up and speak to these kids and have your daughter in the audience was a true privilege for me. And I really enjoyed that and want to wish all the grad 2022 graduates the very best as they leave high school. That's it from me.
Thank you. Director Rainbow.
Thank you. Greg didn't mention this in his report. We had a tour of the southern part of Area D. And we started in Britannia Beach at the museum, had a little walk around there, and the executive director brought us up to speed on a few things that are happening there. And that museum is really going from strength to strength. 7 or 8 years ago, it was financially challenged, should I say, and they're in a much, much better position now, and they employ, at the moment, 40 people. So it's quite a significant employer, and well, probably the most significant employer at the moment, other than the construction that's going on. Then we went over to the heritage site and looked at the development of those old buildings. And last time I had an Area D moment, or whatever we call that, I showed you some pictures of the buildings as they were at that time. I really ought to do a new slideshow and bring you up to speed on it, because most of them now have been settled on their new foundations. There's still a couple to be shifted. They're working on the interiors. I was in the building that used to be the cinema, and when I knew it a few years ago, it was the general store, and it just had a ceiling like this. But you go in there now, they've stripped it all the way, that low ceiling, and it's now an arch, sort of domed, what do you call it, using really narrow strips of wood, and it's beautiful. And it's going to be, when it's finished, it's going to be fantastic. So we've got a good understanding of the complexity of bringing those buildings up to condition in which they can be used today. And every one of them is different. You know, every one of them has its own little challenge. That's coming along fine. And then we went to Ferry Creek and had a tour and around the region, so that I just wanted Craig to have an idea of what this development that we've been discussing for the last 2 days is the scope of it. And so that was great. I really appreciate Craig spending the time doing that. Quite often we've had comments about municipalities' electoral areas, and I just want to soften it, the situation a little. But I'm involved with the hospice. It's now called the Sea to Sky Hospice, and as opposed to Squamish Hospice. So there's a recognition that it serves the greater region. And then in conversations the other day with people on the Squamish Hospital Foundation, and we're sort of almost in competition trying to raise money, and so there's an interest in blending those two and making it more of a regional Sea to Sky hospice hospital fundraising sort of situation, and I think that's really healthy. I think it's good. And then in a completely different arena, my wife and I curate a gallery in Squamish, and they've as part of the Squamish Arts, which is not called the Squamish Arts Council anymore, it's now just called Squamish Arts. But they have an art walk, and they have locations out in Area D, and Area D through select funds supports that art walk. So there's just a couple of examples where there's really good, I think, cooperation between sort of a municipal-based thing and the electoral area. So not quite a snapshot of Area D, but I wanted to mention those two things. Thank you.
Director Fritz-Jones.
Thank you. Sal, thank you for the tour. And I think it's worth mentioning that not only did you buy us lunch, but that road was in the best condition I've ever seen it. There was hardly any traffic, and the traffic that we did see was pretty polite. There were no hauling logging trucks. The sun was shining. There were nice little white fluffy clouds. Like, that was really an unusual day. No
problems here.
I don't know what you're speaking of. But thank you. Okay. I gave a presentation to the district council about the value of agriculture in Area B and why they should buy into it. And it was pretty much a disaster. I was challenged by questions around things like the price of gas. So I feel that I didn't do a very good job, and I'm going back. We're on the agenda, and Emily Jones, our new executive director, and Sarah and probably Claire, they were pitching in to help me with a little more of a robust presentation for the district of Lillooet on the value of agriculture. And agriculture is hopping in Lillooet. The farmers market is busy, but you know, these guys are struggling in Airport Gardens, which is a long-standing valued institution in Lillooet, and that's in the district. It's on Highway 12, has failed. So yeah, we need to support our farmers more actively. LCTVRA, thank you so much. Melanie is working away with the constituents there, working towards a resolution. Slowly, painfully, we are working towards a resolution. We had the first BioBlitz in Lillooet, which I'd love to talk to you guys about all afternoon.
What was it called?
BioBlitz, just trying to identify as many species as we can in a short period of time. But it was really a successful event that brought people to town, and we did very well with it. I invited Fraser Basin Council to facilitate a roundtable on wildfire prevention and it was a slow start. I was a bit worried initially, and then it got momentum, and we had 42 people at the table. Mike Fushka did a very good job from the SLRD. It was very good, and I'm optimistic we'll meet again later in the fall, but that was a very good forum. And a very important thing for us all to be working on, as we are a year after the Lytton event here. We're all very aware of that in our part of the world. And finally, I'm looking forward to a NETIC meeting next week, because we have the Papeglia Council coming to present to us on their cultural heritage. And so I'm really pleased that we're going to have the CAO and possibly our chair attending, and a full meeting and lunch. And yeah, that's Area B. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. I will move along to 10.2, electoral area B recreation access issues. This is requesting a letter be sent along with Mr. McEwen's letter to the relevant provincial ministries.
Yeah.
You want to speak to that briefly, or?
Yes, if we can get there. This is just quite a concern. There's quite a bit of conflict about it with the signage and conflict between different user groups and so on, but it may just be better to put it forward as something that we can discuss maybe in a community to community forum at a local level in future, and leave it at that. So that's what I'll say on that. We can just move on to the next item.
Okay, well, we can support the motion that we write the letter and send the letter, or just receive information at this point. It's up to you.
Well, I would like to communicate to the Ministry of Forests and also MOTI that it continues to be contentious in electoral area B, access and signage. And if we can follow up with Mr. McEwen's letter, I'd be glad.
Okay, so moved by Director Birch Jones, seconded by Director Crompton.
Sorry, so what are we doing?
We're sending a
Oh,
letter.
you are sending a letter?
Yeah.
To the two ministries, MOTI and Minister of Forests, just about sort of.
Okay. I'll call the question. Is there anyone opposed? Motion carries. We have to defer 10.3 because Director Mack is not here to speak to it. And I read in our procedures bylaw yesterday that if a director puts something on the agenda and then they're not here, we can't consider the issue.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah, it's just worked out in the past, but here we are. So we'll have to, I mean, unless it's time sensitive and but he doesn't have an alternate here to speak to it, so.
Wow.
It's too bad, we could have got a lot of things done today.
I can't move this for directing that.
No,
No.
Okay,
so we'll just defer that to the next meeting.
okay.
And there is lunch here. Can we
This
take
next one won't take a minute.
It won't take a minute?
No,
Okay, let's
I
do
don't think so.
10.4.
We approved back in 2020, a couple of $100,000 for this playground at Britannia. The process has been ongoing with various permits that were needed, et cetera, et cetera. In that intervening time, costs have gone up, and to complete the project, staff need an extra $30,000. And so my request is that the original funding came from Community Works Fund. I've checked this with Suzanne. This is legitimate. I move that we approve a further $30,000 funding from our Community Works Fund.
Moved by Director Rainbow, seconded by Director Crompton. Any further comments? Is there anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Good. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And let's take a 5-minute, let's grab lunch, but come back and we'll eat while we go through the rest of the agenda, if that's okay.
Sounds good.
I don't want to rush anyone, but there's some urgency to move along.
Sorry, Chair.
Yeah, there is some more.
Can we get 10 minutes? Is that possible?
10 minutes, yeah.
Okay.
That gives you some time, okay? Thanks. With your lunch, Mike and Jenna, just give us a wave. If you're still there, you don't have to turn your camera on if you can put your hand up.
I'm
I'm
here.
locked in, Jen. I'm locked in.
Thank you, appreciate it. We've lost Sal to another appointment, right?
Oh, okay.
Oh, no,
He was in the
he's
waiting
here.
room and I brought him back in.
Perfect. Sal, you're back. Perfect. Thank you, everybody, for this rushed lunch. We will move along to 11.1. And this is a request for funding for the Statliam graduation ceremony or graduation committee of 2022 graduates. And is this from you?
This is from me,
Okay.
and I'm most pleased to support these guys. I spoke with them yesterday, actually, day before. A motion to support the Statliam grad committee for $1,000 from select funds, area B, PILT, has to be PILT, sorry, thank you.
Okay,
Yes, area B,
great.
for their graduation
Okay.
event.
Moved by Director Birchjones, seconded by Director Rainbow.
Fully support that.
Okay. Director Demare, do you have a question?
I would like to add some money too, and Vivian, what was the total that they were requesting?
They actually didn't give me a number. They were very pleased with the suggestion of $1,000. They have 30 graduates or 31, I believe. If you'd like to add to that or split it, Sal, either way, I'm happy.
I would like to amend the motion, and I would like to contribute $500 from Area A PILT.
Okay,
Okay.
500. So yes,
500, yeah.
so 1,000 from B, 500 from A, PILT funding for the Statliam grad committee. Can that just be a friendly amendment then? And we'll
Now we'll just have it amended, moved by Director Demare, seconded by Director Birchjones. Calling the question on the amended motion. Is there anyone opposed? Motion carries. And then calling on the amended motion again. Is there anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Very good.
Nice.
Great.
Now, is that a school? I forgot. I can't get access to my notes right now.
These are grads from the LSS system, mostly the Lillooet Secondary School, but they have a separate graduation event just to celebrate there. So these aren't bursaries. This is just towards their event.
Yeah.
Okay. The next piece of correspondence for action is the UBCM executive call for nominations. We have until July 29th to submit any nominations for the board. And so I'll just receive this for information at this time, and we can put forward nominations. I'll need a nomination from you guys.
It's gonna be a pleasure.
I was just
Can
going
we
to ask
just do
that. You have to be nominated.
I do, yeah.
Okay.
I'd be happy to do that right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a motion to support the nomination for Director Ford for the UBCM executive.
Yes, please.
Moved
So
by-
moved.
We're supporting you for executive or for president?
For president.
I'm seconding that.
No, you're not. You're too late. I already said.
I
Take it.
haven't acknowledged, but.
Yes, can we make a case? I'm first.
Moved by Director Birch Jones, seconded by Director Rainbow.
We just need to know that Jen has the full support of the electoral area.
Thank you. And I'll call the question. Is there anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Yay.
I'll fill in the form and send it on. I'll get these guys to sign it. You don't need to do anything.
motion?
And I want to add that I'm recalling the UBCM convention several years ago now, where you first ran for member at La Hutch and announced that you were doing this for Oliver, making a better world for children and so on. And I think you've, over the years, you've demonstrated that is your driving force. Not just Oliver, but children in general. So
Thank you. We'll move along to 11.3, and this is the Howe Sound Biosphere Regional Initiative Society, and this is requesting support for future, a letter of support for the updated forum Principles for Cooperation. This is a commitment to host a Howe Sound Community Forum in the future. And this is support by an MOU with the Howe Sound Biosphere Regional Initiative, Region Initiative Society. These are easy to support. I don't think we have to do anything other than write the letters of support.
There's a couple of pieces there. If we could be directed to report back, to review the request and report back.
Sure, let's do that. So we'll refer this to staff. Moved by Director Rainbow, seconded by Director Birch Jones. Any comments? Is there anyone opposed? Go ahead.
Just a comment that, within the region, when you talk about the northern section, we also have areas A, B, and Lillooet. And for area B and Lillooet, the Fraser River is the body of water that we're all kind of centered around and focused on. And there are groups working on the health of the Fraser River system as well. So just to keep that in mind, because I think we're moving towards, I'm all in support of the forum and the memo of understanding and all that's in here. I just don't want to forget the North and the Fraser River.
Oh, yeah, and that's captured by the Fraser Basin Council and the Columbia Trust. And there's a number of organizations that this is separate. This is really focused around the shores of the Howe Sound.
Yeah.
Which is why you're not usually included in the forum. Certainly welcome to join the forum. Anyone is welcome to join the forum. Both Tony and I and Jack, I believe, have been to like every forum.
Yeah, that's terrific.
It's wonderful. And they do great work for our whole region. And it's not to be excluded that the watershed and the airshed is all impacted by the Howe Sound Forum. So it's good work.
Yep.
Okay, so we've moved to receive and refer to staff.
Right.
I haven't called the question yet. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We're on 11.4, and this is a request for funding from the Lillooet Community Bursary Committee for graduates of the Lillooet Community Secondary School in 2022. So this is a separate request?
This is a separate request. This one comes from Area B as well. And certainly more than half of these students will be Statlian this year. But the motion I would like to make is to support the Lillooet Community Bursary Committee with $5,000 from PILT Area B funding
Okay,
for 2022.
okay. So this is moved by Director Birch Jones and seconded by Director Rainbow. Any further comments? Seeing none, is there anyone opposed? Motion carries.
And these groups have committed to ask earlier next year.
Okay, that would be helpful. Obviously for them, they've already had their graduation.
Well,
They
one of them
have liked to have announced it back then, yeah. 11.5 is a request for support for the City of New Westminster for a UBCM resolution. I would suggest that we receive. Move receipt. Director Rich Jones, seconded by Director Crompton. Any comments? Anyone opposed? Motion carries. And 11.6, this is a request for tax exemption for the Pemberton Wildlife Association's shooting range.
I'll move that.
Mike's here.
Moved by, did you want to speak to it, Mike, or you're going to move it?
I can speak to it if you like, but I'll move it.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay, so moved by Director Richmond, seconded by Director Rainbow. Comments?
It's the Center of Operations for Pemberton Wildlife Association and the work they do there. So we've supported this on a yearly basis, and I'm happy to do it again this year.
Great, thank you. I'll call the question. Is there anyone opposed? Motion carries. And, oh, we need to refer that to the budget process, don't we?
That's well, no, it's just that was to refer that for preparation of the bylaws. The bylaws will come back around.
Okay,
What you just did there
okay,
was not the exemption itself.
yes, it was
Move
the,
towards
right.
the bylaw to bring back. Yeah. thanks.
Okay, thank you. And now we're on 11.7, which was 5.2.5 from the consent agenda as pulled by Director Demare. And I'll allow Director Demare to ask a question or state your reason for pulling it from the consent agenda, please.
Yeah, I just want to make some comments on it. I've requested a meeting at the UBCM ministers meetings with regards to new road bin material and CPI increase, cost of living increase. As there has been not been any increase that I'm aware of since the new agreement was signed in 2013. And also, by the time we get to the ministers' meetings, we'll have all the new data on the vehicle counters. There's 5 new vehicle counters on the Hurley FSR. And by then we should have all the data from 2021 that I can work with to discuss with at the ministers' meetings. The other aspect of it is that they've made a comment that the local government could chip in to help with the water truck. And that to me is going down a slippery slope of local government paying for some provincial tasks that they should be providing the funding for. That's all. Thank you. I'll move to receive it.
Okay, moved by Director Demare, seconded by Director Birch Jones. Thank you for those comments, Director Demare, and we look forward to hopefully getting a meeting with the ministry so that we can flesh this out. Thank you. I'll call the question. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. All right, there was no additional late business that we have? No? Okay. So 13.1, correspondence for action regarding a request for funding for the Yolocum Valley Community Society, Community Wildfire Preparedness. This is a request for $7,000 from Area B discretionary grant funds. Did you want to speak to that briefly?
Just apologies, this one also came in late, and I will endeavor to not let that happen ever again in future. It's I just like to move that I support this request with $7,000, is it $7,000 from Area B PILT funds?
Is that the same as discretionary fund?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Moved by Director Birch Jones, seconded by Director Rainbow. Any comments? Is there anyone opposed? Motion carries.
And I can add that this group was at our round table and they are also looking for funding elsewhere, but I really wanted to support them in the short term urgent request. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. And we have 13.2, which is a request for funding for the Bridge River Valley Community Association. Director Demare.
Yeah, I'll have to declare a conflict of interest. And as my daughter, Cara Demare, is employed by the BRVCA, and my wife, Debbie Demare, is on the board.
Can you put him in the waiting room, please? Thank you, Director Demare. Stay close. All right. This is a request for $8,000 from electoral area A PILT funds supporting training courses for the Bridge River Valley. And could I have someone move that? Moved by Director Rainbow, seconded by Director Birch Jones. Any comments? Is there anyone opposed? Motion carries.
If I could just make a brief comment, we've just had 4 things there that come to this table that we could have dealt with. If
Yes.
that if they were delegated to us. But really, there's no, select funds comes from PILT. These are called PILT funds. It's the same source of money. So same kinds of amounts that we're talking about. So just put it up.
We can just do our best to have these prepared in time and completely so that they don't take any more time than
Well, I'm
necessary
not-
on our agendas.
I'm not being critical of being on this agenda. I'm just
No, got
saying that is something we could deal with.
Yeah. Yeah. Great point. Thank you. Thank you for coming back, Director Demare. And are there any notice of motions from anyone? Seeing none, we'll move along. We will recess. Nope, we're not doing that because we've already done committee of the whole.
Correct.
We didn't have any recommendations from committee of the whole. So now we're on 17. Can I have someone move that we move into closed? Moved by Director Birch Jones, seconded by Director Rainbow. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Take 2 minutes